Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. A little bit of rain in the forecast today. We've already had some sprinkling, nothing much yet, but there is today, and then tomorrow they're calling for potential for severe weather. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's going to be too terribly bad, but it might be. So kind of be on the lookout for that, because we could, it's that time of the year, and we haven't been getting a whole lot of it this year. So, it makes me a little nervous when we're not getting a whole lot, because then it tells me that we might just get a whole bunch all at once. The protests that I talked about yesterday, they're just increasing. They're all over the world. They're in France, they're in Australia, they're in several cities here in the United States. It's possible that we're going to see this spread and be a pretty much bigger thing, and follow a very similar pattern, I would guess, as to what we saw 3 years ago or so, or 4 years. I don't even know how long ago. When was that? 4 years ago, I guess. 4 years ago. It's possible. Now, that's something that can definitely affect many of you, because it could be happening in a city that you live in. So that's something to be watchful of. Everything else is the same. More wars, economies not doing great. New GDP numbers came out today, and it's slowing down. Okay, now I know that's not a big shock for a lot of you, but the economy's slowing down. The markets have been going down. Gold is going up, or it's been up. I know it came down off its high just a little bit, but it's still high. It's still in the 2340, 2350 range this morning. So on the surface, a lot of things don't look so good. And I know that myself and many others sometimes focus, maybe a lot of times, focus on those things that don't look so good. But I'm here to tell you, God is good. And we still will have victory. It may not come in the way that we want it to come. Our victory may not end up in the way that you and I would like to see it happen. But we will still, in the end, be victorious. And so I want to, if anything else, make sure that message gets across. That as bad as things are, and as much hurt and pain that's going to come with it. And when I say that in the end that we will be victorious through God the Father, doesn't mean that we're not going to experience hard times. Many of us will. Many of us will experience tragic things. But we have that hope and that understanding that in the end things are going to work out. And so I struggle within myself a lot of times, because I want to present the news, the information out there that I think that you probably should know, so that you can become more prepared. You can kind of stay on top of things, get a good feel for where we're at. But yet, on the other hand, I don't want to terrify people. I don't want to depress people. I don't want people to live in fear, because in doing that, we have done exactly what the enemy wants us to do, and that is to live in fear. And so just because I talk about stuff that's going on a day-to-day basis, and that's one of the reasons why I try to lighten it up with a little sarcasm and humor, which some people don't seem to like that very well. But I'm not trying to terrify people. I want people to feel empowered. I want people to just feel that push, that power, that we are going to be victorious, and that all of this stuff that's happening is just it's just telling us how much closer to the end that we are. And as scary as that may sound, that's actually a good thing. And when I see the world starting to fall apart more and more, when I see the wars and all that kind of stuff, yes, I do realize that lives could easily be lost, most likely will be, that people will go through tragedies and traumatic times, but there is still joy there along with that other sorrow, because I know that we're getting closer to the end of the race, and that's a good thing, folks. And we can't give up on that, and we can't lose sight that just because all of these bad things are happening, it doesn't mean that there's no room for good to still be happening. It doesn't mean that there's no room for us to still enjoy life, because that is part of what we're supposed to do, I believe. Is just enjoy the creation, enjoy the abundance that we have been given. And to share that with other people, that's part of being a light in this world. I mean, you can't be a light in this world if you're all down and depressed or living in fear. That's not a very, very powerful, bright light. You're not illuminating much, are you? So no matter how bad things get, we can't allow the bad to get to us, to get in us. And I'm not talking just the evilness, but I'm talking about the sadness and the depression and the fear. We can't allow that to affect us. And that's why I encourage people to get your houses in order. I believe fully that if you do those things, get yourselves physically, mentally, and spiritually ready, then you're not going to end up in a place of fear and hopelessness when things start to get worse, because you've prepared for that. You're mentally ready to see and to hear the things that you are seeing and that you will continue to see and hear. Your family is physically ready for the physical trials that we face. You've strengthened up. You've brought that stronger bond together in your family and in your community. You've done the preparations. You've developed the skills and the knowledge. You've moved to a place that you're outside of these wicked places that are unsustainable. And then you've also, and the most important thing, is that you've strengthened your spiritual walk with the Almighty Creator. These things that I talk about, I know they become little catchphrases, and it's it's just for the clicks, right? But I truly mean it, and I truly believe that if we do these things and walk in a path that we are spiritually ready for the spiritual warfare, for the battle ahead, that we are physically ready for the trials and the tribulations that we will face, and that we are mentally ready for the psychological attacks and the mental psychological things that we will be facing, that we can make it through this. We're not promised that things will be easy for us, but we are promised that He will be with us through all of this. And the thing is we have to do our part. I believe personally, and this is just my opinion, you may differ, and that's okay if you do. But my opinion is that we can't just sit on the couch and just have this faith and this hope and this trust that things are just going to be taken care of for us, that we'll just be delivered from all of this because we just have faith. There's not really any scriptural references to back that up. Most all of the stories in the Bible that depict hard times that His people went through, His people had to do things. They had to do things along with their faith. They had to store up grain. They had to build an ark. They had to walk hundreds and hundreds of miles through the desert. Whatever it was, they had to do things. They didn't just sit there and just believe. Moses didn't just sit there and believe that God would take His people out of Egypt. He actually had to do things. He had to do uncomfortable things, in fact. He even said so. He even asked, please, I can't do this. I'm not a public speaker. I'm not the kind of guy that can get up before a pharaoh. I don't speak to kings. But yet, he still did it. And he had to put that physical effort. It's part of that physical manifesting the spiritual. And so that's why I encourage us all, myself included in this, to get ready in all ways, physically, mentally, and spiritually, because we are facing a rough time, folks. Is this the end? I can't tell, but I can tell you it's pretty bad out there. I would say far worse than any of us have seen in our lifetimes. And we know that it's most likely going to get worse, especially when you just look out on the horizon of what's happening. And it's going to affect us in all ways. It's going to affect your pocketbook. It's going to affect possibly where you live, violent actions, your available food, the energy and electricity and the fuel and the things like that that you need with your children and their upbringing, their education, and what they will experience or be exposed to. It's going to affect us in ways that our minds can't even comprehend. I mean, many of you already have lost family, maybe not physically lost them, although that's the case also, but many of you have lost family to this very wicked left wokeism. And they may not even want to have anything to do with you. That's a psychological turmoil and attack. And that kind of stuff is going to happen even more. And then spiritually, well, I don't even know that I have to explain that too much. We are experiencing spiritual warfare and attacks on a level that I don't know that humanity's ever really seen before. The things that are happening in the city streets and that are being normalized in schools and libraries and government buildings and even churches are things that most of us in our past never dreamed possible. It's I don't want to sound depressing. It's going to get worse. We have to accept that reality. I mean, it's spoken of in Scripture. Jesus himself, Yeshua, told us exactly how bad it's going to be, and he doesn't paint a pretty picture. But we have to acknowledge that and get ready. We have to not get caught up in the drama of the day and to not get down and depressed that we're not capable, we're not smart enough, we're not wealthy enough, there's no one around that is like me, and I'm all alone. Even if that's true, that's still not a reason to get down. We can make this. We can make it through all of this. We can survive this because we have the best tribe mag community member on our side, and that's Yeshua, Jesus himself. And we have to keep pushing forward. I suspect throughout the rest of this year we're probably going to experience and see some things that would just shock us. But it's not a reason to stop. It's not a reason to give up. We're getting close to the end of this race, but we've got the hardest hills yet to traverse. And so I encourage you and pray for you and believe that we can make it through this. So don't give up. No matter how bad the news is, don't give up. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and start preparing yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.